Greetings! Welcome to part 11 of my series on the science of Hinduism. Today I'm going to be responding to a comment that Played already left on the second installment of this series. And it's kind of a long one, but I won't be responding to all of this today because I've actually already responded to some of it in previous installments. And then there's some other stuff that I'm just going to put off for another video. But let's get started.
I said certain things are unknowable, beyond the universe, below the atom, etc., scientifically speaking. So, to dismiss Vedic teachings on creation, or anything, as inaccurate, wrong, wild, outlandish, or as contradicting, is not science or even logical. It's made-up insults.
No, when I talk about stuff being wrong, inaccurate, wild, outlandish, contradicting, that's based on evidence, which actually matters in scientific methodology. So what you just said, Played already, is actually completely full of shit. Now, as for your claim that it's unknowable what's beyond the universe or below the atom, that's actually wrong. We, of course, don't have all the answers, but there are some answers that we have based on what evidence is available to us. For example, we know that atoms, in the modern usage of the word, contain these subatomic particles that we call protons and neutrons, which contain elementary particles that we call quarks, which are basically these perturbations of energy that exist in space-time. And since our universe was set in motion by some exploding atom or particle, that actually helps us segue quite nicely into the question of what exists beyond the universe. Now, a particle requires energy to come into existence in the first place. In order to become so hot that it explodes into a universe, that requires time. And since the universe is expanding, that demonstrates that it exists within a larger environment, a larger space into which our universe can move. So, contrary to what some of the outdated science says on the subject, space-time and energy all exist both prior to the universe and beyond the universe.
The king didn't use supernatural powers to space travel. There's an entire science behind that travel that many people used over 5,000 years ago. Not Veda's fault you or scientists lack understanding.
Played already, I do not value an extraordinary claim that is backed up by no evidence whatsoever. Now, this part was not entirely coherent, but I think the main point Played already was trying to make is that there was a city in the ancient texts that got submerged in water, and that the remains of the submerged city have been found. So the texts were right. And yeah, it sounds to me like the texts may have been right about a submerged city. Doesn't mean they're right about everything else, though. If you have the remains of a submerged city in your backyard, it's actually pretty easy to get that one right. But Played already seems to also want to really emphasize the age of this city, which he claims is over 5,000 years old. Now, I've been doing some research trying to see if I could confirm that, and I've actually been coming across some conflicting data, but based on the research that I've done, I'm pretty content to say that it doesn't seem unreasonable that there could have been a city there over 5,000 years ago. I mean, we know that the Harappan civilization was settled in the Indus Valley around 5,000 years ago, right? But prior to that, the city of Uruk was constructed in the land of Sumer around 6,000 years ago. Some scholars would consider the city of Uruk to be the first true city. But there were other city-like places being constructed prior to that, going back 9,000 years. None of that is any indication that it was actually founded by this guy, Krishna, who I have no reason to believe ever actually existed. I mean, if Dwarka went underwater over 5,000 years ago, and we have no textual mention of Krishna until thousands of years later, we're not exactly getting eyewitness testimony here. Now, Played already, I get that you don't agree with the dating provided by mainstream academia but so far you haven't been able to explain what the evidence is that demonstrates that mainstream academia is wrong. You've provided alternative dates that come from within the framework of the religious echo chamber of Hinduism, but I don't have any reason to take any of that seriously. Hindus believe in animistic gods and karma and reincarnation. All this stuff that is not well substantiated with evidence. It's actually got evidence working against it, as we've discussed in previous videos. I've got no reason to think that your alternative references are more credible references than what I'm going off of. It would help if you explained what the actual evidence is that demonstrates that my references are wrong. And you're just not doing that.
Vedas, example given Gita, give exact numbers about time passing differently in certain planetary systems. This isn't guessing, or about time flies when you're having fun, or in heaven.
Exact numbers as opposed to rough estimates? Play it already. That doesn't mean anything if we can't confirm that those numbers are valid. You don't even say what they are. Now, if I recall correctly what the numbers are according to the Hindu text, and it's possible I'm not remembering right, but if I recall correctly, it's something like if there's a day that passes up in heaven or some part of it, then there's like billions of years passing down here on Earth. Now, as far as I know, we haven't found any place in the cosmos where there's that much time dilation. If you know of a place confirmed by actual astrophysicists, feel free to tell me what that is so I can look into it and see if you're right. Now, for crying out loud, these are the Vedas. There's the Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva Vedas. The Gita is not one of the Vedas. That comes later.
It wasn't just Indians with theories about something so small that it's the smallest or whatever. They even mention a Mercury Vortex that NASA now uses in research. You'd know that if you maybe watch the other video/description in the playlist like I said before posting.
Alright, let's see what the video has to say about it.
According to Stephen Knapp, the Vaimanika Shastra, ancient Hindu book, describes in detail the construction of what is called the Mercury Vortex engine, the forerunner of the ion engines being made today by NASA.
Gee, I wonder just how ancient the Vaimanika Shastra is. An early 20th century Sanskrit text on aerospace technology, dictated during the years 1918 to 1923. 1923. Not very ancient. But hey, that's only 2 decades after the Wright brothers made their first successful flights. That's pretty good. Here he again misdates the Bhagavatam and talks about, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about here actually. I don't know what he thinks this means. You know what? I'll just come back to this in a future video. I really don't have time to try and figure out what the fuck this is talking about.
Okay, you can speculate that Vedas aren't 100% proven to be divine. However, Vedas themselves credit a higher power as their source. Why would they lie?
I can only speculate. It's not like there's a shortage of reasons that people have to lie about whatever. It occurs to me, though, there's a lot of mention in the ancient texts of a substance called Soma, right? It's a hallucinogenic, okay? So, when they say this stuff is divine origin, that might not actually be like an intentional lie. They may have actually genuinely believed that they're having some kind of divine experience coming up with this shit. In his book, Don't Know Much About Mythology, historian Kenneth Davis says, a certain American beverage calls itself the king of beers. Soma might be the god of beers. A most unusual god, Soma is the name of both a deity, the Vedic moon god, and a sacred beverage. As a deity, Soma is said to be the creator and father of the other Vedic gods, a sign of the importance of Soma, the beverage of the gods. In its liquid form, Soma was evidently an ecstasy-inducing potion. Judging from its frequent mention in the Rig Veda, Soma was obviously a significant, if not indispensable, element of the ancient Vedic ritual. Either highly intoxicating or hallucinogenic, the active ingredient in Soma has been the subject of considerable conjecture. So yeah, even if it's wrong that this Hindu stuff is of divine origin, whoever first made the claim that it was may have actually genuinely believed that it was. Now, the rest of Plato Already's comment is just not even worth responding to. So that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with other people. If you're interested in watching my future videos, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one. So have a good one, guys, and peace.